Well, the 18th atmospheric river is dumping rain and snow around here, so I've been spending most of my time online looking for some new project cars. And here are the top 5 that I was able to find under $5,000. Links to all the cars that I talk about today will be in the description below. All right, first up, we have a 1972 MGB, which is listed for $2,500, which I think is a steal, even for a project car. The seller states that the car starts, drives, and stops, and he put on new tires and put in a new battery. This one comes with an overdrive transmission, which is always a plus. Based on the pictures, the body panels look pretty straight. There's a minor dent on the driver's side door, but I think you can pull that out pretty easily. Rest of the car looks pretty good. Not a lot of rust that I can see. Even the pictures of the undercarriage look pretty clean, but I do think that at some point it was resprayed in red or maroon. The original color looks like it was yellow, which I think is great. It doesn't list what the miles are, but my guess is they're pretty high. They're pretty up there. It's a 1972 car after all. It looks like the top is missing, and so are the door cards, but everything else looks like it's there. This is a pre-rubber bump MGB, which I think is better looking and arguably more desirable. If we take a look at the values, they've stayed pretty consistent, maybe slightly dipped over the last year, but I think these are solidly fun cars and one of the best beginner project cars if you're looking to get into wrenching and restoring cars. They're easy to work on, and parts are readily available if you want to buy them new, but especially if you want to pull your own parts from the junkyards, there's plenty of them around. When I was at a junkyard, I saw at least 4 of them. Pull your own parts and put them on this thing, get it back on the road. Okay, next up, I found this 1977 Fiat 124. They were asking for $3,200. From the pictures, the car looks pretty nice. All the panels seem straight, but the paint's a little tired and could definitely use a respray. Although the owner replaced the battery, spark plugs, and spark plug wires, they say it runs, but probably still needs a tune-up. So maybe distributor, rotors, not quite sure. And you know, it's a California car, so you definitely still need to get it smogged. It only has 44,000 miles, which seems a little suspicious to me. The owner does concur that they're not sure if that's accurate. My guess is it's probably turned over once, or the odometer stopped working. I mean, it's from 1977. The car currently has some interesting seats, but the seller states that the originals will be included with the sale. It's currently on non-op, but it also has a salvage title. So I'm not quite sure if it was flood damaged or maybe a theft recovery, because it doesn't look like it was in an accident. Values on Fiat 124s have dropped a little bit after a nice steady climb over the past few years. And if we look at the last few sales prices, they're sort of all over the map. So this might not be the best project for a flip, but if you're looking for something to keep and enjoy, this might be a nice low buy-in price that can be fixed up fairly easily. All right, this next one is for all you Initial D fans out there. It's a 1986 Toyota Corolla SR5 AE86. It's got quite a few miles, 225,000 miles, and it has an automatic transmission. So the seller is asking for $3,500 and says that the car does turn over, but needs a new fuel pump. So not quite sure how he diagnosed that, but take him for his word. There's no title, so we don't know if it's a salvage title like the previous car, if it's a clean title, but the seller does say it's out of the California DMV system anyway. Looking at the pictures, the body seems pretty straight. The seller added a GTS-style front bumper, but this is the sedan version, not the hatchback like the Initial D car. And my guess, because it's got an automatic transmission and that it's a GTS, that it probably has the 4A-C engine, so not the desirable engine. But, you know, this could be the perfect donor car to do a engine and transmission swap to a manual transmission and get the better engine. And it's a Toyota, so, you know, it's just going to take a couple of bolts, pull everything out, put a couple bolts back in, and everything should be good. Looking at the interior, seems like it's in pretty decent shape. And the owner says he installed lowering springs on 13-inch rims, so this thing could be ready to hit a few cones on their next autocross. Okay, so this next one, there's not a whole lot of information on it, but at $5,000, I think it's definitely worth a closer look. It's a 1973 Volvo P1800 ES. So it's the wagon or If you're British, you call it a shooting brick, a version of the Volvo P1800. From the pictures, the car looks really complete, and the owner has a video of the engine running, but he says it's rough, a little rough. Also comes with an automatic transmission, which the seller states is bad. So like I said with the Corolla, I would probably swap the automatic transmission for a manual anyway. So assuming that I could find the parts to do the swap. I'm not super familiar with the P1800, so all I know is that I really, really want one. The orange paint is faded pretty badly on the hood, but the rest of the car looks pretty honest. The interior is definitely usable, but the vinyl seats are split. You can probably use a refresh with some new covers, and it look pretty nice. Values for really nice P1800 ES wagons have really jumped in recent years, but the not so nice ones, there seemed to be a slight dip. So this might be priced a little bit on the high side, but if you could get it for the right price and convert it to a manual, might be a real winner and great for investment. Okay, before we get to the final project find, if you're enjoying these videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and to the newsletter using the links below. We'll share more cool buying tips, classic car and classic motorcycle project finds, some motorsport news, and maybe a wrenching tip or two. Okay, so the final car that I have for you this week is this 1969 Lotus Elan Coupe. The value for these cars have really climbed in the past few years, especially for the really nice example. I'm not sure what it would take to get this one back to a condition 1 or condition 2, but it seems like you would get back whatever you put into it. The body looks straight, and the owner says it's free of dents, but the hood is missing and the windshield is cracked, and you'll probably need to replace it with a new one. Also, one of the taillights is missing, so I'm not too sure how difficult it is to source another one. Both the engine and transmission are already out of the car, ready to be sent straight to the shop to get them rebuilt. And the paint's flaking pretty badly, as you can see. Looks like it was originally white, or Old English, as they say in Triumph World. But the blue looks really nice on this car, especially with the blue velour seats. The sample size is much smaller, and these are produced in fewer numbers compared to the other cars on this list. But if I was looking for an investment grade car, I could do a lot worse than this one. It's difficult to see now, but I think the Lotus Elan is one of the prettiest cars ever produced. So if I had the time and the funds, I would definitely pick up this car and slowly get it back up to a condition 1 or condition 2. All right, and here's a bonus project car find. It's a 1988 Lotus Esprit. Unfortunately, it's got a salvage title, but the owner says the engine starts but needs a little bit of tuning. Looks like all the carpeting was removed. There was some water and mildew damage, as well as the seats, door panels. So my guess is this might be a flood car, but he says no damage to the electrical system or the motor, but it's missing the window motors and regulators. It's also missing the headlight motors. Not quite sure how easy it is to source those replacement parts. But he says he's got a bunch of brand new parts, including brake pads, rotors, alternator, timing belt, fuel filter, ignition coil, and updated side skirt. So, you know, this was a supercar back in the mid 80s and very, very desirable. I think it was the Pretty Woman car. And so this is definitely higher than my $5,000 limit for this list, but it'd be a really cool car to buy. Definitely is a head turner for $16,000. Really, really low price considering what they go for typically. But again, it's a salvage title, so that's something you'd have to think about. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'll keep looking for more project cars to share with you. Until then, keep the rusty side up and the leaky side down.